How's it going? We are back once again with Wrestling Off the Air, brought to you by Wrestling Republic. I'm hanging here with both Shad and Dryzzy as usual. We're going to get into everything NXT on Tuesday night. How are you guys doing today? Shad, how are you?
I'm good, bro. I'm good. I've been ready for the night, man. So whenever let's get into it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Dryzzy, how are you doing today?
I am at peace. I'm in love. And love is blind.
I love it. I love it.
Love is blind. Let's get into the first segment.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's talk. So we got the dyad or GYV, whatever we want to call them, grizzled young veterans. All of the above against the family.
Yeah.
The family. The family of all families. And Shad, you and I watched this one. I enjoyed the match. Drizzy, you obviously saw it as well, but did you have as much fun as we did for Tony D and Stacks?
I enjoyed the match, and I love the psychology of it because the dyad are supposed to be that team that have been around the world, beating everybody, and for the good amount of the match, they were in control of it until they weren't, and it just took that one little bit of offense and a help from our match friends in the audience, and that changed the entire tide of everything. I love when things make sense. I love it. You know that Tony and Stacks they just won the belts, and no, they're not just their tag team, but still kind of operate as two singles to a certain extent. They're family. Like they're like this, but they're like this at the same time. So I love it when things make sense. This made absolute sense. I have to figure out who those two masked guys were. I have no idea. Do you guys know?
Ooh, I think I know. Shad,
It's definitely got to be Omos and Omos's twin brother. It can't be anybody else besides two Omos's. So I'm gonna go with that. Yeah, he got a clone, maybe. Who knows?
Omos and Onas.
We got the creeds in there. We got the creeds in those masks, guys.
Hey, they are not on NXT anymore. Okay,
that's like saying Sami Zayn. That's like saying Sami Zayn and El Generico are the same person. It's not true. It's impossible.
I think it is. I just have a weird feeling. It's a little bit like fake Razor and fake Diesel, though, where, you know, they had you at first, and we could be wrong, right? It could be anything. Could be anyone. But I've got money on either the twin Omos theory, which is possible, or it's the Creed brother.
It's probably CM Punk. Who knows?
Could be Punk. What if it's the Elite? It could be the Elite. We didn't even consider that.
Could be the Young Bucks, but
I mean, honestly, you can't really tell by the build at all who it could possibly be.
They've been hitting you know, the weights at the Performance Center, man. Who knows?
This could literally be anyone.
But nah, I mean, in regards to the match, I enjoyed it too. In all seriousness, I did like the match. I was telling you when we were watching it, I love Tony D'Angelo's style of fighting. I love the brawler style. I said that. Now, I don't think he's better than him or near his level, but I think he's like NXT's version of like Eddie Kingston in a way, just within the style of wrestling and just his demeanor. But I mean, I thought it was a good match overall. I think the pacing was good. I love, you know, what the Dyad and the Grizzled Young Veterans do as a team. I think their movesets as a tag team is incredible. And like Drizzy said, it's kind of cool to see it going against a different style where it is kind of like two more single stars, even though they are part of a, you know, intertwined faction, you know, doing what they need to do. You know, we have to talk about the ending where, you know, Miss Ivy Nile came out and she was, you know, not afraid to take on 76 different dyad or the schism members I counted all of them. She was down to fight 76 Schism members by herself, but she forgot about 77 and 78, which came out and turned on the dyad. We all know it's probably leading to the Creed brothers. It probably is Julius and Brutus Creed. And I do like the fact that we are continuing that feud. And, it's you're still continuing a feud within them, and you let the tag team champs, retain. And you don't have in my opinion, far better tag team lose off of a clean way. A little schmalls happens, but overall, it was a pretty solid match and solid ending.
Yeah, I liked the match too a lot. Like I really liked the ending. I mean, I think Tony D. We talked about also the brawler style. It's fun. It feels throwback-ish on a show where you don't necessarily see that all the time, but it fits in well, right? It's just a nice change of pace. And I thought the open was awesome. Like to open the show, this was a great curtain jerker, for lack of a better way to put it, right? Like it was a great way to just get it started. Unless you guys have anything to add, do you want to move on to Blair and Dana?
Yeah,
let's get into the match of the year right now.
Blair Davenport versus Dana Brooke. Yeah, this one is interesting. I saw what I thought was a pretty weird botch, right, Shad? I mean, you were there with me, and Dryzzy, I don't know if you caught it, but they looked like they were going for the classic Cactus Jack clothesline over the top rope, and Blair just did not.
She didn't make it.
That rope
didn't
just
look good on her neck, and it
ricocheted
hard off the back of her neck, and it ended up going to the outside, and it. For a minute, I couldn't tell if she was selling or if she was actually in pain, right? And not actually in pain. Of course it hurts, but right. Or if she was like injured in some way, because it was just so awkward. And for the rest of the match, it just made me think, Dana Brooke's been around for so long. It was just kind of shocking to see. It wasn't as clean as you would expect. From a veteran like Dana Brooke. Did you feel the same? I'll go to Shad first, and then Dryzzy, you next. Right, Shad, did you feel the same about that?
The pacing of the match just felt very awkward after that. We had that botch that you mentioned where her neck just kind of ricocheted off of the rope, and they didn't go what we thought. That spot where they would both go over the rope. And I mean, I was concerned, man. Like she's been grabbing on her neck the entire match. Like she may have, in an aspect, been selling it a little bit, but it goes back to this, man. Like I try not to be one of these people that are overcritical on a wrestler, but like Dana Brooke, to me, just the superstar has not ever really clicked 100% on the in-ring part. And I feel like she still relatively just comes off so green in the ring, but she's been in here for a while. And you have her going against somebody like Blair Davenport, who is relatively younger in the profession, definitely has experience outside of the WWE atmosphere. But it just came off really awkward. Like it felt like their styles just didn't mesh. And then you just kind of have this entire match where it seems like it's going to be Dana Brooke's turning point where she's going to go heel, but it just didn't really come off natural. The highlight of the match, to my opinion, was two things towards the ending. You're getting progression going on in the storyline with her and Kelani Jordan, where she was telling her, I'm going to use the bell, which I thought would have been great because I remember playing No Mercy, and I used to love hitting people with that bell and hearing the ringing noise. But she told her not to do that. And those knees, man, like Blair Davenport's knees to the face, so brutal, so strong. It felt like it was a receipt, low key. The first one felt like it was a receipt because I was like, man, she better not give her a concussion with that. But overall, I mean, the match didn't really deliver. I do like that we are, progressing in the storyline for Dana Brooke. I think her in NXT is a good thing for her. I think she's got character work. She's been in the, sports entertainment business for a while. But the in-ring ability, I got to see some progression, or you got to fit her in the matches that are more strong suited for her.
Definitely, I definitely hear where you're coming from, and I agree on the receipt thing. It did at the time feel like that was a distinct possibility. Drizzy, did you see those two knees
I did see
as a
the knees.
potential receipt?
I did see the knees. I don't think it's a receipt. I can't gotta get out of trying to call her by her indie name. Blair Davenport is naturally a hard hitter. When you get those Europeans, they it's all
Strong style.
it's as real as possible. It's as real as humanly possible. And back to the Dana Brooke thing. That's why we're here in NXT. Like think about it. How many times does she really get matches where she's in the ring for a longer period of time than the 2 or 3 minutes that she normally gets? She get actually a chance to get in the ring and actually tell a for real story in the ring, similar to what everybody on Raw and SmackDown do weekly. Like when she was on the main roster, she wasn't getting that time. So it's still something that she's still trying to negotiate and try to learn. Yes, you can be in the ring, you can tell all types of stories when nobody's looking, but when and the thing is, she's probably practiced that clothesline a million times. This just happens to be the one time that it got caught on camera and it messed up. I think she'll get better if she gets more reps doing something like this. And this match was strictly a storytelling match. So it's all things to help her get better and also let her be more successful when she gets back to the main roster. Hell, she might even take Kalani with her. Kalani didn't look too bad in the ring last week. So let's do that.
I think that's an awesome point too. Kalani looked awesome last week in the ring, and it has charisma even on the outside in today's match. To your point about the storytelling, like I maybe too harsh on Dana Brooke there. Obviously, is one spot in the match for
My
sure,
bad.
right?
I'm sorry.
No, I hear you because I was in agreement on that too, right? Like when I saw it, I was a little bit like, whoa. But Blair Davenport responded, and to your point, Jersey, the stiff strikes, they're no joke, and
Mm.
it's exciting. And at the end of the day, as much as I was critical of the one clothesline spot, Dana Brooke more than did her job making Blair look outstanding, especially with the finish with the two knees, right? Which is kind of all you can ask in that
Mhm.
match. So it does at the end of the day, right? The job was done. It
Mhm.
made perfect sense. Um, with that though, do you guys wanna head over to the next one? Wait, we got a few comments here. Well,
Mhm.
we got a Lacey Evans comment. Lacey Evans baby from Ruben Barber. Lacey Evans baby, have fun on Thursday nights. That's funny.
I don't
Um,
know what she's doing on
Hey,
yeah,
Thursday nights.
that's not a bad move for her.
it's
But
not.
that is a daily broadcast on
Impact,
Thursday.
Lacey Evans.
Matt Williams, Chase U in shambles.
We'll get to that.
Oh,
We'll get to that. Don't worry
we
about that.
we are
We'll get
gonna
to
get
that.
there. And then my mom with peace signs. um, but yeah, with that, let's talk about Baron Corbin and Von Wagner, which I out of the gates called Baron's mini pipe bomb because it was hilarious how he dissed everyone backstage. He got after all the people in the back and everything. It was funny. He was rolling, and then it was like, oh, Von Wagner. Um, Wagner, some of his best lines of his career here. You know, this was, I think, as good as he's maybe ever been on the mic. Would you agree with that, Drizzy?
This is probably the best Von Wagner has sounded on the mic in general. Um, and that's having a manager who is decent, who's really good on the mic. He was better than his manager tonight. I will go out and say that Robert Stone is. I enjoy his work as a heel manager, but as a face manager, he just is a hit for me. Von Wagner had great lines, delivery a little off, but it's okay. It's okay. That's why we're in the NXT. It's developmental. You got to develop these things. But he was. on fire. And I think and you didn't get a good crowd reaction because I feel like a lot of them were in surprise, like Von Wagner just said that. Because for so long we've been taught to not care about Von Wagner, and then lo and behold, out of out of the sky, it just kind of hits us in the head. He has promo skills now. I don't know who's been working with him, but everybody involved in this, kudos, you deserve a round of applause because this was a really good exchange. Baron Corbin gave him something, and he basically tested him right there. Similar to like John Cena does to most people. He tested him right there. He's like, you got something to say, you better say it, and you better say it with your whole chest. And that's exactly what Von Wagner did.
It was really, really, really well done. It's funny too. I think the most impressive part about the segment in my eyes was it ebbed and flowed. And to your point about the crowd reaction, right? At first, like Baron was getting like cheered during his initial promo about backstage, right?
Mhm.
And then suddenly it goes to Wagner, and so there's a little bit of a hush, almost like a murmur, right? And you kind of get nervous for a second. Then as he starts to build, the crowd started to react more and more positively to the point where you got a big pop
Yep.
on, I can't remember the exact line, but it was good. It was funny.
It was about you could pick one of your 8 characters from the past,
Yes, that was the one that really put it
which
over the
a
top.
very, very good line when you have somebody like Corbin. A very good
Absolutely.
line.
It was clever. Well, and then no, I think it was all even. It was when he went through. He named two of them, and then he said, "I can't remember the rest
Because they
because
suck.
they're so yeah they
Because
sucked
they suck.
because they sucked." That's exactly what it was. Um, and then I mean, it got physical, which is great, and two big dudes slugging it out. Baron Corbin has shown he can work with big guys. I actually thought he wrestled Roman Reigns better than a lot of other people did, despite the rivalry being ridiculous at the time with Roman's old character. I thought he did well with him in the ring, given that they're around the same height and size, and that's a difficult role to navigate. So I think the match will be pretty solid in ring. Sean, did you feel the same way about this segment?
Yeah, I mean, so this is why you have someone like Baron Corbin on NXT. I feel like he's a vital character to just have in regards to being a vet. Like everything he said initially in the promo, 100% accurate, man. This is a guy that's been on Manias. He's mixed with some of the greatest. He's had matches with legends like Kurt Angle, all of that. And he has a sense of star power in the NXT realm where you have a lot of young new superstars, and he's like, we know what Baron Corbin is as a heel. He's one of those guys that is just an absolute heat magnet, and this is the perfect person to match up with Von Wagner, who's slowly becoming this baby face, and they're trying to turn him face where Corbin's going to say enough stuff on a mic into the crowd where it's going to just naturally gain that crowd to boo him, and they're going to naturally want to start to root for Von Wagner. Now, it took a little bit initially. I didn't really like Robert Stone's part of it. I'll be honest with you. Him kind of going like, oh, ha, 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 good one, Corbin, like just overacting on that. It's a little cheesy. But when when Corbin took it back and he said, why don't you let him talk? Like, why don't you talk? And Wagner, talk. Like last week, we spoke about Von Wagner. I ain't have a lot of nice things to say about it. I'll keep it 100% on that. Tonight, I think he definitely delivered a lot better. To be frank, this was probably the best he's ever done on the mic. Having, quick wit, coming with lines, with a rebuttal saying your 8 failed gimmicks, like masterful. That's pro wrestling. That's how you go back and forth. I'm a battle rapper, so that exchange of stuff I absolutely love. And I like that they're kind of giving him slowly but a gimmick, like kind of a character with this. I got a dinner for one at this table for you, and he was about to power bomb in the table. So I think it was good. I think this is a good little feud for Wagner to get into. But we must not forget there was another gentleman who had an exchange with Baron Corbin later on that night, and that is Mr. Braun Breaker. He is not done with you, Von Wagner, and he's not done with Baron Corbin. They're back and forth, so you're mixing Braun in with Baron, and you have all of this going on with Vaughn, like Braun and Vaughn versus Baron. I like it. I think it's good. I think it's good for the young talent, and I think they're using Baron Corbin for a lot of positive, and it continues to give his, character a good thing. And I'd say this before I get off of this topic: you can tell how much of a vet Baron is on the mic, man. Like, and how much that crowd loves people from the main roster, because he commands that crowd so well, and he says stuff on the mic that is so smooth and good. I like that a lot of these guys can learn that from him.
No doubt. Corbin is, I've always thought, underrated heel talent, like just awesome when it comes to
he puts his head down and he does what they tell him to do, and he does it what he needs, at his best ability.
And I think the best part is we got to actually watch that grow, because his initial NXT run, he didn't talk.
That's right.
In fact, his matches were countdowns. How fast can they get the crowd counted down how long his match was going to be?
That's right. That was his gimmick. I forgot that. Talk about a throwback, by the way. That's hilarious.
And we've gone from not talking at all to being a general in the ring with a microphone.
Oh yeah. Or to literally it is over when someone tells him to shut up. That's the funniest part. He talks so much. The crowd loves it when someone tells him to shut up. Yeah. He went from not talking at all to now shut up garners cheers. That's actually remarkable if you add it up. That's harder to do than you would think. Yeah, and also, by the way, the Baron Von Braun cracked me up too. On top of that, I mean, that's a slugfest if I've ever heard one. I mean, that
could be a good triple threat match.
Yeah, there's no reason to have the triple threat without a title around it. But if you were gonna have one for some reason, that would be fun, because it would be a lot of. It reminds me almost of the WrestleMania, Gunther, Sheamus, Drew. Mm-hmm. Where it would just be a lot of hitting each other really hard.
Yeah. I really want to see a Baron and Braun Breaker match for sure. I think they could definitely have a great match.
Yeah.
Family.
Absolutely.
Family. Y'all can't tell me he doesn't look like Dominic Toretto.
No.
Yeah, he does.
Okay. More importantly than that, though. Not more importantly. Equally important.
No, importantly.
I know. You know we're going to do, Shad. I'm going to toss it to you first on this one. Mustafa Ali is finally getting the gimmick we always wanted. He always wanted the president, the presidential. The vignette was awesome. Shad, break it down for us.
This is the greatest thing that's happened. This was the best thing that happened on the episode until we get to the final segment. Mustafa Ali had an idea of a gimmick where he was, playing like a running candidate, to be kind of being the true American hero to everything. And this came in light of, rumors of them trying to say that they were going to give him sort of a gimmick of, and it wasn't even a rumor. It kind of was a little true, because he had a little segment of it a couple years ago where it was kind of a xenophobic, gimmick towards him being a Muslim American, and trying to play off of he hates Americans and stuff like that. Stuff that's not far from the wheelhouse of old WWE stuff. Let's not forget about Muhammad Hassan, but I'll regress from that. I absolutely love this, man, because Mustafa Ali, if you know his backstory and who he is, this is a guy who was a former police officer. This is an American more than anything. He's an American citizen. He is a Muslim American. He's a Desi American, and he's playing it as I'm the North American champion, and just because I'm, from a different background or a different ethnic, a different religion that may not be as beloved to people in the United States, he's still an American, and it takes the core values of what we think America is as a melting pot. And I love it because it goes against all stereotypes of what they want it to be. And I mean, it's just gonna be so great because he had this vision for the longest time, and they're letting him actually run free with it on NXT. And you see how great the North American division is, and all the great superstars that are in it. Man, you build some steam off of this, and you let Ali cook throughout this gimmick and get that title off of Dominic Mysterio and let him be a champion. I promise you'll probably have the best champion in the WWE. And I'm going to stand by that because I have the utmost confidence in Mustafa Ali and his vision and everything he does as an in-ring character. If you let him cook and you let this heat up and you get him that title and let him have a reign, I think he will be the most entertaining champion in WWE. That goes on SmackDown. That goes on Raw. Roman, I'm talking to you. Gunther, I'm talking to you. Give my man the belt.
I love that. And by the way, I want you to know that the funniest thing ever is I was going to go to do the camera cut when you paused for a second, and I was like, whoa, it was the most, I juked myself out. I almost slipped standing up in the middle just to keep you on the screen.
Bro, the dude is a superstar, man. And
he's the man.
It's the fact that he's been underutilized from the beginning of time is there's a reason why they didn't want to let him go too. As when he was demanding his release, they know that he's this good, and just let him be great, man. Just let him do what he got to do.
Come on, man. We spoke about the Corbin being an awesome heel in the last segment, right? And having all the gimmicks. Mustafa Ali has had to go through some pretty brutal gimmicks and made the best of a lot of stuff. I mean, think about he was winning the Money in the Bank and then Lesnar.
Yep.
Right? Retribution? Are you kidding? And some of the things he's been booked to do on the main roster, as talented as he is,
it goes back even further.
It does. Dryzzy, I'm gonna toss it to you right now.
Mustafa Ali originally brought on the main roster by Daniel Bryan in his first night, beat Daniel Bryan. That whole Kofi Mania run, that was Mustafa Ali's run. So I really feel like Mustafa Ali has not had a true chance to really show us what he could do, because every time he gets running to fly, he jumps up and we got to start over again. We got to, okay, let's repackage. Let's do this thing with Mansoor. Let's do this retribution. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's get you tossed around by Seth Rollins and everybody and Bobby Lashley and everything. It's always so start and stop. When we seen this package a few years ago, and they said, well, this is what they had planned for him, but we never went with it. It was deflating because you could really see he put so much work into it. So to see it tonight on actual TV, I know he's pouring his heart into it. And he is not going to miss with this. Because you could just see it in his eyes. And I feel like he had a whole lot more input on it. So when you have something to chew on, when you have your own input put on it, when it's your baby, you're gonna do whatever you have to nurture it to make it fit and make it work. And that is what this is gonna be. I cannot wait until he gets in the ring, and I don't know if you guys are paying attention to it, but he says he's gonna do everything the right way. Remember that he's gonna do things the right way.
That is such a good point. That's fascinating too. What does that mean? There was the little
by any means necessary, man.
And the other thing that gets me too, and Dryzzy, you made an awesome point about him really having his own fingerprints on this one, right? And when it feels like it's yours, right? It's so much easier to own like the story, own the gimmick, own what it is. And it finally feels like, oh, he's in a position where he's going to have creative control, at least to an extent, on his own character because it is his vision, it is his idea. And that's just so exciting because he's such an awesome performer. Like, I'm a huge, huge fan. In a long time. I mean, Chicago guy myself too, right? He's Chicago shout out for sure. Like, I've always been a fan, and I've never been able to figure out why he's been held back from taking that step to, not that he's not a superstar, because he is in his own way, right? Like, Ali's got a massive following, but why isn't he able to take that next major step towards like superstardom, I guess, not to double entendre myself there. But anyway, with that, I think we're kind of all in agreement on this was awesome. This was an awesome segment. Let's keep it going and watch this shot. I'm not going to mess it up in the show notes this time. I'm skipping straight to the next one. We got Tyler Bate versus Joe Coffey. I almost did it. I caught myself. It's huge. Long story. That's an inside joke. Sorry to the audience there. But we had Bate versus Coffey, an NXT UK classic. Shout out Kobe Galanzowski, Mr. NXT UK, as I like to call him, because he reviewed every episode ever of NXT UK except for the last 5. But apparently someday those reviews will come out. And we're going to see them. We will see those as well. Not the point. Dryzzy, I'm going to start with you on this match. How did you feel about Bate versus Coffey? It was electric out of the gates, but obviously it didn't turn out to be the main event we thought it might be.
So we sat in here and we watched it. I just knew when I seen it earlier, this is the main event. It was 9:30 when it came on our time. So I'm like, oh, they're getting a full 30 minutes. Let's go ahead and get our popcorn ready and let's go. Tyler Bate and Joe Coffey unloaded the clip starting out. That's how good you knew this was going to be. And then Big Yabba Dabba Doo Dabba Kato decided to come out and with no warning whatsoever, lay everybody out. He tried to get Joe Coffey. Joe Coffey was saved by Gallus. Tyler Bate was there to eat the choke slam. I very seldomly hate things in NXT. I hated this. I know this is probably the beginning of a story, but it's not a story that I want. I don't want Dabba in my ring with him at this moment. Can we give him Tony D'Angelo? Can we give him anybody else? Because I really wanted that Joe Coffey Tyler Bate match. We don't get like the remnants of NXT UK. There's only like 2 things left of it: Gallus and the NXT UK Heritage Cup. Those are the only things left from NXT UK. Can we please just run back that Bate Coffee match? Let them go. Let us have that 30-minute match of the year classic that we knew it was gonna be. And for the 5 minutes that it went, it was really good. It had us on the. We literally sat here in just the chat, just watching in awe. And yeah, take it from me. I'm getting flustered again thinking about it.
It was one of those things too. You're so right. Where it was brutal. It was like this could have been a classic. I mean, it was odd too because you had Bates' entrance before a commercial break, right? And you had a long commercial break. It almost felt like it was an audible at the time for a second. And the other thing is, can I call Dabba-Kato Shane McMahon's best friend on this show from now on? Because I don't need to see Shane O'Mac's best buddy from the original Raw Underground. his old Shano's old pal interrupting what should have been the match of the year. Drizzy, you're spot on. Like, I'm flustered too. I'm with you. Like, Shad, you feel the same way? Like, it was the one like spot tonight where I was like, man, it was like a stone left unturned, you know?
Yeah, man. Like, the artist formerly known as Commander Aziz just completely destroyed like pure excitement. Like y'all were mentioning, that match was so good, and we know what they've done together in the ring before, and this was great opportunity to show the new NXT fans to see what these two guys can create in ring on from NXT UK to the new NXT, and you're gonna just completely end the match with Dabo Kato. Like what like he had a vignette saying he's coming soon. I didn't think it was gonna be that quick. Like 45 minutes, that's when he comes through. Come on, man. There's no reason for him and Tyler Bate to feud. And that's no disrespect to Dabo Kato. I think he may have some sort of, purpose on the NXT, as kind of a heavy or whatever it may be. But it just, there's no reason for him to attack Tyler Bate. He has no affiliation to Gallus. And I don't want to see them feud. Like their paths should not cross. It's something that did not need to happen, and it took away complete momentum from what was going to be an incredible match. And especially when we were getting into the second hour of NXT, everything was starting to pick up, and luckily a lot of great things happened after this match, but it took a lot of momentum, and it definitely was the biggest woof of the night for me.
Absolutely. Okay, we got a funny comment from Matt Williams. Shout out Matt Williams. Thank you for tuning in, Matt. But he says Dabakato more like Dababado. Am I right, brother? And then he said, Matt Williams, I'll work on it. That's funny.
That's Yabba Dabba Doo Kato.
Yeah, thank you. There we go, Drizzy. I mean, honestly, and Shad, you made a great point though about like
his last comment. He just put is really funny too.
Okay, I got it. Hang on. If we get a dumb kid who was born in Scotland, I'm all the way back in. Oh my!
Yeah, they might.
Nigerian father, Scottish mother.
Matt, if we do a comment of the year thing, I'm saving this one. That is too. Yes, I'm all the way back. If we get Scottish Heritage Month for Dabakato.
Dabakato's from Nigeria. Yes. He's from Scotland. He's from Africa. He's everywhere.
They've changed his origin story 50 times.
He's from the underground slums of the Raw backstage.
Yeah, it could be anything. I mean, honestly though, he's a 6'8" human, like right? I mean, just the look. You would think that you'd be able to book Dabakato in a way where he's intriguing.
His name is just goofy. Like
it's hurt us.
I don't know what it is.
Hurt us.
I don't know what it is, man.
I'll play devil's advocate on the name because I want you to remember we do have a person in the WWE universe named Dolph Ziggler.
That's true. That's a very good point. And I will also say, like,
fair point.
I think it threw me for a loop where when Apollo Crews was doing the Nigerian storyline,
which
Omos, I did not from Nigeria.
I did not mind. I did not mind that gimmick. Also,
I did not mind the gimmick either. But you have Omos, who's from and fits
from Nigeria
100 times better. Literally, like. Right? It's like it's in your lap.
Yeah. That's a good that's a good shot. I definitely would have rather had Omos as heavy. Omos would have been better as his heavy.
Yeah, in my eyes it just hurt Dabakato, right?
This is one of those things where in hindsight, Dabakato and Omos probably should have swapped.
Yeah. Literally.
And it probably would have worked, and it probably would have worked out a whole lot better if you have Dabakato be this giant monster on the main roster and Omos be the Apollo Crews heavy, which makes more sense. But
yeah,
we're here now. They're trying to do something with Dabakato. We can't be upset with them for that, but I can't be upset for them running that match. But
no
Michael Hickenbottom, I'm upset with you. That's
ruin anything else but this match.
Please.
Let's go to the next topic.
I'm with you. We're going to the next one. Sorry, Okay, next topic. We got Thea Hale versus Chasey Jane. Chase U's in shambles. Chase U, not in shambles. Maybe not. I'm a huge Chase U fan. Shad, I'm going to toss it to you first. Break the match down. Let's hear it.
We are seeing the beautiful, beautiful faction of Chase U continue to unravel and unravel and unravel week by week. It breaks my heart. We go into this match. Thea Hale is, just completely upset with Andre Chase, throwing in the towel in her, defense because he's being a teacher. He's being a big brother. He really cares about her a lot. And he's not, realizing that what he does is affecting her and her growth and progression and whatnot. So, I mean, that's kind of the storyline into the match. We have her and JC Jane have the match, and pretty good bout. I like Thea Hill as an in-ring wrestler, and I like JC Jane as well as a heel wrestler. The big part of it is that she's, working on that turnbuckle, trying to get that dirty heel tactic to win off of that. And she's about to go through that motions of doing it, and Andre Chase stops it, in theory, protecting her. But we have it effectively getting a roll up. JC Jane gets a 1-2-3 win. I like it. I like the match. I thought it was a solid match. I like the progression of this storyline between her and Andre Chase. I'm curious to see what happens. I'm curious to see if she ends up coming back, or, if she goes heel, or if, maybe what's his name, Duke Hudson is part of it. He turns heel. There's a lot of revolving, options that may happen, and we're just gonna kind of wait and see. But shout outs to Thea Hill. I think she's knocking it out the park as a character and as an in-ring wrestler. I'm hoping the, end goal is her building herself back up and eventually down the road getting the title off of Tiffany in a rematch. So, but solid overall.
I do agree with you. I really like the idea of Thea being the underdog and building herself back up. Drizzy, I'm going to toss it to you really quick on this match. How did you feel about it? What do you feel about the future of Chase U?
Chase U is in shambles. I absolutely adore Thea Hale. She's one of my favorite things in NXT. This story of crisis of confidence, and also you got the story. So you have Thea's crisis of confidence, and then you also have Andre Chase, who is this big brother who loves everybody and wants his people to succeed, but at the exact same time, his means are getting in the way. You get to that point where you have to let everybody grow up, and we've gotten to the point where Duke and Thea have to grow on their own, and we're trying to get to the point where Andre Chase is going to actually let them do that, and it's either going to be a sad situation where they finally leave the nest and leave Chase U, they graduate. I would assume they graduate. They'll graduate and go on to anything else or something else, main roster maybe, who knows? Or we get to the point where, what's the saying? You either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become a villain.
Yes.
We probably could see evil Thea Hale, which probably is going to be adorable as hell, but perfect. Like it's kind of because I doubt they're going to do it with Duke, because when Duke came in originally, I think that was supposed to be a heel turn in some sorts, but you got lackadaisical Duke who now cares and loves Chase U. So it's a great story. I love Chase U. Thea Hill's my favorite thing in NXT. I'm just here for the ride at this point in time. I'm not even trying to predict what's going on. I am in the car and I am just mindlessly watching, waiting for the next thing to happen. I love it.
Absolutely, and I think that's an outstanding shout. The heel Thea Hale will be adorable. It's almost like a
Like,
wilder version of like a heel Alexa Bliss. Similar vibes there, like where you have the
mhm,
small blonde that you can tell her heart is big, but as a heel, it could just be even really tear your heart out
mhm.
ish in that regard too. That'd be hilarious. And then, well, not just hilarious. It could be awesome. And then we've got another comment from Matt Williams. Thea Hale is money. Couldn't agree more. We got another one. It's truly a beautiful story. And then he also laughed really hard, Drizzy, during your take about
She is adorable. She is adorable.
It's true. It's true. No, there's nothing wrong with that. I couldn't agree more. With that though, let's move on to the main event. Well, what we didn't realize would become the main event. Let's start with the Wesley Dijak #1 contenders match, right? Which was, I mean, I thought was a fun match. I had one slight problem with the weird spot with the dancing guy. Okay.
Dancing guy.
You know, dancer
Oh
dude.
my god, Eddie Thorpe. Eddie Thorpe.
Yeah, Eddie Thorpe. Sorry, Eddie. Maybe you shouldn't have come up with the dancing gimmick. I'm blaming him. I'm just saying.
That's Daniel Garcia's gimmick, Eddie.
Yeah, that's Daniel Garcia's gimmick.
Yeah, man, that's his gimmick.
That's Garcia's gimmick. He's the dancer. Okay. But outside of that, I thought the match was outstanding and was stoked to see Wesley get the win in the middle of the ring and secure the #1 contendership. I didn't expect what would become of it in the main event segment. Let's talk about both the main event segment and the match. I'm gonna go to who's ready to go, Dryzzy or Shad. Who wants to go first?
Rock, paper, scissors.
I'm like, I actually can't remember the order we've gone in. Rock, paper, scissors.
Scissors.
Is that? Oh wait, was that? Did you go rock?
No, I had scissors. And I was
scissors. Okay, that's a wash.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Oh yeah.
He won. Go ahead.
Shots first.
Yes, we just did that on live. Yes, we just did that live.
Yeah, we just did that on live. This is
Honestly,
the vibes.
Electric. We might have to have a whole rock paper scissors show.
The vibes of the show. Nah, man. First and foremost, I thought Dijak and Wesley had an absolutely great match. I think the chemistry between both of them was great. I'm loving Wesley's just super kicks throughout the match. Very Shawn Michael-ish. Michael Hickenbottom, salute to you. But just great match overall, man. Like a lot of spots I can name for days. Great match. Besides the dancing gimmick guy, we're leading more towards the end of it though. So Wesley gets the victory, and this promo exchange between him and Carmelo Hayes at the end of the match, 5 stars if I can rate it myself. I mean, you see the passion within Wesley and just what he's talking about. And everything that he's putting on that table that he pulled into the ring, but on that table for the contract signing is all 100% accurate. I mean, this is a guy who has been, his entire story is facing adversity. Him coming in to NXT as a tag team competitor, winning that tag team tournament, being a tag team champion, and having that stripped away, out of his control due to his tag team partner not being there anymore, and going through the learning curves of being a single superstar, where initially we saw him kind of go through this whole phase of him taking loss upon loss upon loss, so where he eventually built himself up and became North American champion, who he did beat the current NXT champion. Now he lost that title, and now he's going for the big gold on NXT, and it's familiar foe is Carmelo Hayes, and he's playing off of the story and history that they had each other, and he's basically just telling him, he's like, man, I'm hungry and I want this way more than you want this, and you just feel the passion, and you see Carmelo Hayes on the other side of the spectrum, that he's quote unquote, not to steal his line, he's the champ, he's the most money superstar on NXT, and he's not gonna let anybody take it away from him. And it's just, I don't know, man. They sold me a ticket for this match next week. I feel like this match needs to be at WrestleMania or something like that. Just how fiery the exchange was, especially on Wesley's behalf. I'm super excited for it. I want Wesley to win this title because he's just, how could you not like Wesley, man? I can't say anything bad about Wesley. The dude is amazing on all, facets of being a superstar 5-star segment. 5-star segment.
5-star. I loved it. And by the way, I mean Mello, he's him Duncan. He's himmy Neutron. He's himmy Butler. He's him. He is.
Hunter Hearst Hemsley.
Oh, now we're talking. But Drizzy, I want to know what you thought about this one and how stoked are you? To me, this had big fight feel. That's what I loved about it. Was the trash talk felt almost more like a press conference for a fight where the fighters just kind of take over and people stop asking questions and they get in each other's faces, and they start going back and forth. And it just made me excited to see it happen. Do you have a prediction? How stoked are you for the match? And do you have a prediction?
Before I get into that, I want to address something what we had in the comment
Oh,
about
yes.
Dijak and what he's done to get a number one contenders match. NXT is one of the unique places where all the outside feuds, everybody has a story. So those stories also intertwined at points in time. Dijak may not have won any type of number one contenders match, but after having a match with the last, I want to say he's had matches with the last three number one contenders, and taking them to the limit each time. At some point in time, you gotta give him a shit. Like, you know what? You've been putting on good work. You've been doing good work. Let's give you this match. Which brings me to Wesley, who has at the same time been on a losing streak. He has been at his wits' end, and each week, I said it last week, each week you see him just becoming more and more just hungrier and hungrier and upset. Like something's got to change. And if my fortune's not going to change on its own, I'm going to make it change. I'm gonna change what happens. I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna take my destiny into my own hands ultimately, and that's what he did with the help of Eddie Thorpe, and he grabbed the destiny by its throat. He took it to Michael Hickenbottom. Hickenbottom gave him a contract. He went and found Mello at that very moment, which I also want to bring in. There's a through line through the show of Mello signing for 3 hours, signing signing stuff for 3 hours. He found him, gave him the contract, and what has Mello done these last 3 weeks? Just kind of shoved him off. Like I got more important things to do. Once he showed him that contract and said, "No, I am the important thing. You need to come see me." And when Mello tried to push him off again, he took something that I've never seen done in wrestling, and I applaud it. I applaud Wesley for doing it. He took logic into his own hand, in his own eyes. He used logic. He grabbed the table and he drugged that table into the ring. He set that table up and said, "We're having a contract signing now. We're doing this now." We need more things like that. That is innovative. You've never seen that anybody do that in wrestling. You see jokes with about the contract signing. This was serious. This was no laughing matter. This was no joke. He said, "Get in this ring, see me now." Wesley has been a tag team guy for so long, and if you didn't, I can only I can't speak for Clark and Shad, but I've been watching Wesley for years. He's always been this tag guy, typecast almost. He took the typecast and threw it back in the screen and said, "Forget that. I don't want it. I want to be world champion. Come see me. Sign this contract." And this contract, you felt every little bit of it. You felt every single bit that he had.
I I love exactly what you just said. Like it was the most passionate segment we've seen out of Wesley yet. It was so good. So good. And I mean, one of my favorite things was actually just the double stomp through the table. We're so used to seeing like the cliche, and the comments are blowing up here too. And we'll get to the comments here in a second. But we had you know, we had we've had a bazillion contract signings in WWE history and wrestling history, right? And somebody goes through a table half the time. The idea of him dragging the table out and the aesthetic, the I feel like the message was almost like the table was the can't the entire time. He took the table that Mello was signing autographs on, he dragged it all the way to the ring, the table,
He drug
and then he broke it.
he drug tradition to the ring.
Yes. It was so cool. And then the other thing that I thought was really funny is I just watched the ESPN Johnny Manziel documentary, right?
Mhm.
And with the autograph signing thing, Mello's distracted signing autographs, just a tiny little, right? Maybe he's
Perfect.
too busy signing autographs. He's not like Wes Lee out there working. I don't know. Maybe just a little bit of an extra layer to add to the story down the road somewhere, pending how the results of this match goes. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Is that a possibility? I thought that was kind of funny, ironic, right? Like the timing. He was, because you mentioned the through line. You signing autographs all night,
Mhm.
right? I mean, Wes Lee was focused on wrestling.
Mhm.
He wrestled the match. He was focused on next week's match. Is Mello, in the gym still, right? I don't know. That could be a funny story to tell down the road, right?
I
I
like
would
I like I like that idea.
I would
Yeah.
absolutely love it for him to get. He's gotten to a point. He's comfortable now. He's like, I'm champ. I'm forever champ. What I need here? Let me spend these 3 hours signing this stuff real quick. He wrestled, and
Yeah.
then we get to Heat Wave, and Melo's too comfortable.
Yep.
He's too relaxed. He like I do this, and he slips on the banana peel, and boom, we have a new NXT World Champion on Heat Wave,
Yep.
and at that point we're 1-1 then. Well, we're
There
not
you
one
go.
one. We're not 1-1, but
Or one. Well, yeah,
we
it's
get
one ish.
we get to a point where we're motivating Mello again.
Yes.
Be the reality check he needs.
Hmm.
And then Mello can make the comeback route too, right? Yeah, there's a lot of juice there. You have like after like the spider web of stories, you can almost tell. Just you just whether it can lead to a call up. Maybe
Hmm.
that's the motivation, even almost right for Mello.
Good. These two have such a good story arc about being feud, like within a feud. Like I think they have such good history going into this North American title match that they had prior to what we have now. Like I just love that they're calling back on history, and I think they make good rivals. Like this is a feud that isn't depicted on a specific heel versus babyface. Both of them are kind of Mello more of a tweener in a sense, but both of them are relatively faces on this end, right? So it becomes it's a feud of like just like you said, big fight feel out of respect. Who is the better man at the end of the day? And they sold me a ticket, man. Heat Wave, we here next week.
I'm ready to go. Yeah, I'm fired up for Heat Wave. With that, I think let's run through some comments before we end the show. Right? We got a bunch. We got a classic shout out for Shad. Classic Shad shout out. And then honestly, good enough answer on Dijak. That's awesome. And then Deuces Oozes from Fernando Quintero. And then a lot of comments about Sexy Red. And then the Slam Ball playoffs.
Yeah, we
And
can't
that's
use
gonna
him.
be it. And yeah, that's gonna do it for us as far as the comment section. Anyway, awesome show, guys, and thank you guys for tuning in. On behalf of Wrestling Republic, me, Shad, Drizzy, tune in again post Heat Wave after NXT every week, Tuesday nights. Us three will be here. And then every day except for Thursdays at noon Pacific, 3 Eastern. That would be 8 in the UK and 9 in Hawaii for the daily broadcast. Check out Take It to the Table. If you haven't liked, subscribe on the Wrestling Republic YouTube channel, please do. We really appreciate the support. And we'll talk to you guys soon. It was a blast today.
Yes, sir.
Deuces,
Absolutely.
deuces.
Deuces.
Deuces, deuces.